Hi, I'm Megan Baker, and this is Influence Her. Francine Apy aspires to be a beacon of hope for people that are on an adoption journey. She is the founder of SoulFilling, and she works with families as an adoptive parent coach. I'm going to have you go into exactly what that is for us, but I want you to give us some background on SoulFilling and what was the premise behind that and coming up with this business?
Sure. So take me back about 2 years. In October, a dear friend of mine who happens to be adopted as well, it was her birthday. And I said, happy birthday. And she said, thank you, my soul-filling friend, Fran. And I said, soul-filling, that's a beautiful word. Like you hear fulfilling, you hear soulful, but there was something about soul-filling, it was a deeper level.
Never.
And it was continuous. And I had never heard it. And I told her I was actually going to start a greeting card company. And I love photography. I use a lot of my own photography in the work, the social media posts I do and what have you. And long story short, as I sat with it and I said, truly, what fills my soul? And it's my kids, it's my children. So sometimes I get a little emotional. But yeah, we were blessed with 3 children through adoption, and their birth mothers will be forever my heroes. So I thought if there was ever a way I could give back to the adoption community in a way that tells the whole story, right? And shares the ups and the downs. And truly that, in my opinion, I don't feel media and PR has done enough to bring to light when adoption just works. It's going well. It works well for the birth mother, it works well for the adoptee, and it works well for the child. And I created SoulFilling to help bring to light more stories around adoption that does just that. So I'm working on a book right now that I haven't, I'm going to gather 33 stories at a time. I have about 8 so far. And my mission is to just tell those stories that it's working. Nobody has a perfect story. If we were to interview every person that lived and were blessed to live well into their 90s or 80s, I think there'd be a chapter or something that was uncomfortable or that was a difficult time, but what was the lesson or what was the blessing in that experience? And so I want those stories to show some resilience, to show it wasn't perfect, but when you bring in your team, your people to help you through those difficult times, it can be a beautiful story. So that's partly, but the other piece of it is to help make the conversation more mainstream and casual at home, work, and school is really what I lead with when I talk with people. What's SoulFilling? SoulFilling is an adoption-centric company that focuses on helping to make the conversation more mainstream at home, work, and school.
Francine, let's dive into your own adoption journey. You mentioned you have 3 sons, 3 beautiful sons. What was that experience like, and how do you help others navigate that?
Sure. So at the end of the day, I'm a very big person of faith. I was very blessed. My husband and I were very blessed. I mean, I literally made the decision that I was not going to continue on the infertility path. There's 11 grandchildren in our family, 8 of which are adopted. So I have 3 older sisters that were in the process or had already adopted. And even before we started infertility, my husband and I had adoption on our heart. We knew we wanted to try, to go that path too. There's no guarantees, whatever path you go down, right? And basically, this is now 2000, so this is a while ago, and I created a profile, and that's what you do when you want to adopt. You create a profile that would then go in front of a prospective birth mother, and they begin to see into who you are as a person, as a couple, and help to make their choice on the child that they're caring for adoptive parents. So I sent that to my Christmas card list far and wide, and within about 30 days, I got my first phone call. We had an adoption line, which the phone rang a little bit different, and that phone line rang, and 2 months later, my son was born, and she invited me into the delivery room with her.
How special.
So she is an angel, And then I went through the same process about 2 years later. And within about 2 months, I got another phone call, and my second son was born. And then I laughed that we were done. We were blessed. We were blessed with two children. And long story short, my sister called me and said, I think there's a baby available for adoption. And I can say this from my heart. But I said, was I looking? Was I looking? And I laughed today because we were surrounded by so many people at that age that they just were pregnant. They woke up pregnant. They weren't trying. And I said to my husband, this is a woman, myself, who can't give birth to children, waking up pregnant through adoption. And so long story short, it was September 15th and my birthday's September 17th. And I said to my husband, all I want to do is meet this birth mother and talk with her, and we did, and it was a beautiful conversation. And he was born in December, and the rest is history. So I share that because the path can go in many different ways. So as an adoption coach, I can be there as a resource. I am not an agency. I'm not there connecting people and families together. But what I can be there for adoptive parent, for birth child as well, for the child, the adoptee, as well as birth mother, is to share my experience and my journey and what adoption can be for someone. And so sharing, a little bit, actually, I'll be teaching in November through SUNY Schenectady, an adoption course, which is called Adoption History, Insight, Mindset, because a lot of people, adoption has evolved so much, even since I had my children. And I think that's a story and a piece that needs to be brought to light to truly understand how far adoption has come. It still has a long way to go, but there's so much there that can be captured to better understand why people feel some ways or not about adoption, or are confused or not sure what to say. So to go back to your question around an adoption coach, really to share at a very high level, there's private adoption, there's adoption through foster care, there's adoption through an agency, there's international adoption. So just understanding the bigger picture of
what they each offer,
the different paths, and the importance of hiring the best adoption attorney you can hire when you begin the process, because adoption laws change state by state. And you really want someone on your team that lives and breathes, from a legal standpoint, adoption, and truly understand adoption. So taking someone through who's considering adoption, some of those bigger picture topics, helping them with their profile, identifying what to include in their profile, and do they want to go grassroots like I did? I mean, I sent my profile to every high school nurse's office, anywhere I thought a prospective birth mother could potentially be walking in, at a hospital social worker's office.
And that's something good to know, because you wouldn't typically think of that.
Yeah. So you're thinking about, where could someone potentially be walking in that's in a situation that's strongly considering an adoption path for their child. And
an alternative.
An alternative. Yeah. That's right. And I made postcards, and I sent it to everyone on my Christmas card list. So I wanted everyone, whether you lived in Rochester, New York, or out in California or Colorado, wherever our Christmas cards were going, I wanted them thinking about, Fran and Ray are open to adoption and want to adopt a child. And then if they were willing to take my profiles and put it in their, so it was very grassroots. And it was a very spiritual, emotional, beautiful time for me. And it had ended up that all of my birth mothers invited me into the delivery room with them. And like I said, if there's something more I could ever do for any part of the adoption triangle, it would be for the birth mothers. And they're the heroes, and they're the ones, making the choice of life.
Francine, we're coming up with November being Adoption Awareness Month. You mentioned how you are partnering with SUNY Schenectady County Community College, which is one of our clients as well. Not sure if you knew
awesome.
that.
No, I didn't.
So
that's great.
We're so grateful for that. But what is, some words of encouragement that you can offer to people out there who think this is really daunting, but we've heard a very positive experience that experiences that you have, and each person is going to be unique.
Mm-hmm. You know, I would say there's power in your connections and the people you spend time with. So if you want to live in a place of fear and wondering about the what ifs, what could go wrong, then that may not be the best and healthiest place for you to grow in this space of adoption. Make connections with people that it has worked. Get the facts, right? From either an adoption attorney or an adoption agency, a very reputable adoption agency. There's even amazing different support groups through Facebook, you know, or social media outlets. But connect yourself with people who have been there and can provide for you the support that could be helpful instead of living in this space of the what ifs could go wrong. Because that space, for me anyway, never serves me. And in my philosophy, my kids sometimes are like, Mom, how do you be so positive? I mean, you gotta be. But what if it all works out?
Yes.
What if everything just, can you visualize it all just working out? And what a beautiful blessing that could be if it worked out. So why not give that a try, you know?
Now, your work doesn't end, you know, with SoulFilling. You're also publishing a book. You did publish a book.
I did.
Brianna's Brave Day at
School, yes.
So talk a little bit about what we're going to find in this children's book.
Sure. So it's based on an actual event that happened to one of our sons at a local school in first grade. And I'll never forget the time that it happened, but it basically addresses what happened when adoption came up in his little classroom in not a positive way. And he put his hand up and he shared who his birth mother was and that she chose at a very young age the path of adoption for him. And that there are thousands, millions, quite honestly, families looking to adopt. And she interviewed a lot of people and talked, he didn't use the word interview, talked to a lot of families and chose my mom and dad to be my mom and dad because she was so excited at how excited they were to be parents. So I won't give the whole story away. I gave a lot of it away, but Brianna wears a lucky charm, and the unofficial adoption symbol is a triangle and a heart. The triangle is the three sides that bring a family together, adoptive family, birth family, child, and brought together by love. The Dave Thompson Foundation, they use a lot of the adoption symbol. Again, like I said, it's the unofficial one. To me, it felt a little masculine. It was a little too many, corners and edges. And so I commissioned a local jeweler to do my interpretation. Beautiful. My heart is imperfect.
Here too.
Yes, I do. My heart is not perfect because love does not have to be perfect to be beautiful. And my heart does not close because I believe that the more open we can keep our heart, we keep our resources open to help us through situations. So you get stuck on the way, which everybody does at one time or another, you build your team and you find the people to help you through that time.
I love that. So touching. Tell me, how can people get one of these books, pick up one of these books for their family member, whatever the case might be? And same thing with the beautiful necklace.
Sure. So Brianna's Brave Day at School is available on Amazon, as well as in Northshire Bookstore in Saratoga Springs. And it's also available on my website, SoulFillingAdoption.com, as well as my pendant, which is called the Beacon, the Beacon pendant, and some other products that I have that have the adoption symbol on them to help make the conversation more mainstream in casual ways.
So I'm going to add one final question for you. With the online course that you're offering at SUNY Schenectady County Community College, what are we going to hear from that throughout the course?
Sure. So it's going to be offered the 4 Tuesdays in November in the evening, 5 to 7, 7:30. And basically, I'm going to take you through the history of adoption to better understand kind of where adoption originated, if you will. And that'll be in the first class. The second class is to move you through the different types of adoption, the ways people can approach adoption today, and kind of the toolbox within adoption. The third is different strategies of when you get stuck, whether you're in the middle of adoption or you're in the middle of raising your children through adoption. what are some tools? I'm a true believer in positive psychology. I'm a true believer in resilience and really building the right team. So how do you build that right team when you get stuck? And then the fourth week, I'm working on bringing in local people within the community that work and support the adoption community. So different therapists,
Right.
Possibly even my yoga teacher, and different people that can help you specifically in the capital region on your journey and beyond, because this is an online course, so it could be opened up to people outside of the region. But I really want to give it to paint the picture of the history and the insight and my personal insight into adoption and experience, and then the power of mindset as you're going through the process.
This has been such an important discussion. Thank you for raising awareness, much needed awareness to adoption, sharing your personal story with us, but we really appreciate all that you're doing in the community too.
I so appreciate the time, really. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Francine.
Thank you.